Hello everyone, great to be back here with MeteoMark weather. Let's take a look. We're going to be looking at the tropics, massively active here. Look at this. We got this area off the southeast coast of the U.S. We also got our big area out here into the Cape Verde area that's actually came off the coast just the other day. It has a very large area that it could be developing in, and we're going to be watching for this storm to potentially move towards the U.S. East Coast over the next 7 to 14 days. We'll also be looking and see if we have another heat wave brewing along with a massive ring of fire pattern with MCS systems and severe weather. Let's get into it. So we're looking at Dexter out here. Yeah, it is still got this big ball of convection zooming off to the northeast. Only a concern to shipping here. As we go out here into the intertropical convergence zone, the Cape Verde area, yeah, we're watching this area very closely. That's going to be moving up into our potential area of development, which will be likely. We also have another very strong tropical wave just moving off the African coast. And here we go for that system off the East Coast. We're watching this area because we got tropical moisture feeding in along with this stalled boundary to the west. That's going to set the stage over the next several days for the potential for slow development. So we're starting off with the GFS here for your tropics, and then we'll look at the European in a couple minutes here. So, couple areas of interest. Obviously, you saw Dexter out here on the satellite, infrared satellite. We're watching our system here off the southeast coast over the next couple days. And then our big system out here over the intertropical convergence zone. It's this system right here. That's going to be winding up over the next 3 to 4 days and likely going to start trying to develop here. Also, if we look back off the southeast coast, our system does try to spin up right around Friday into Saturday. You can see it just off the coastline here. So we could be looking at an area of low pressure forming right off the coast of the Carolinas and Georgia here, and then slowly moving northeastward. Impacts will be felt here along the southeast coast. Now, look at here the 11th. This is where the Atlantic really starts to look a lot different. Look at these tropical waves. We're going to go back through Africa here. Look at them just lining up, just one right after another here. So we got some major tropical wave action that's just going to continue to explode here. So we're going to come back across the Atlantic here. And it's August 11th. You can see this. Let me just back this up a few frames. We're going to go with the 9th. The 10th, the GFS is developing the system into a strong tropical storm, just paralleling the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and eventually Dominican Republic. GFS has this developing into a hurricane by the 12th. You also start to see the Caribbean eerily quiet with crickets here for the most part, so is the Gulf. But look what starts to happen right around the 13th. It's this subtropical ridge, which is in a completely different spot on the European model. I'll show you that in a couple minutes here. But here's our high pressure. It starts to run out of runway here around the high. And that's where it's going to start to bend here as it gets some more influence from the westerlies. And it starts to slow down right around the 14th into the 15th. So I want to caution you because the previous model runs, like the 12Z, had the system making landfall across Florida into the eastern Gulf. And then that's for the 12 and 0Z. For the 18Zs and the 6Z, we keep doing this game up the coastline here. So we keep flip-flopping back and forth. That means we still have time to work this out. But I do caution you, anywhere from Florida, the eastern Gulf, all the way up the U.S. East Coast. Look at this. This is becoming a massive donut-shaped right off of North Carolina. Not to say this is going to happen, but this has been popping up on model run after model run, especially those 18Z and 6Z runs here. So we'll continue to watch it. I'm looking at the 18th here. Let me go back across the Caribbean. Look at this big wave coming off the Cape Verdes here. So as we continue through where I picked up here in the Caribbean and the intertropical convergence zone, you can see some showers and thunderstorms moving through Barbados, Martinique here around the 15th into the 16th. Look at this strong tropical wave. This one is also showing up on the European model. This one's a bit further to the north. which I'll show you in the Euro in a couple minutes here. But look at this. Moving through Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cuba, and the Bahamas here on the last frame. So, and look at this. I want to bring your attention out here to Africa. Look at this. Major tropical wave action just continuing across the intertropical convergence zone here. This is going to look like a much different Atlantic as we head over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Let's take a look at the Euro. All right, thanks for Tropical Tidbits here for our European model analysis here. So, as we go through time, we're going through your Wednesday here. There's a couple areas. Obviously, we're watching this area off the southeast coast. We're watching this area southeast of the Lesser Antilles. And the area off the screen, we're going to watch it appear here as we go through Thursday into Friday. You can see Florida up through the Carolinas getting quite a bit in the way of action here. This is Friday. The European does try to close off a low just off the coastline of North Carolina here. And then we're going to have to watch this area in the Eastern Gulf up through the Bahamas and the Florida Peninsula. We're also watching a strong tropical wave move through the Lesser Antilles here. European model, now I'll zoom out here momentarily on the European model, brings this storm way off to the northeast, well east of Bermuda here. So our potential storm, but this is the storm I wanted to show you. August 14th, look at this, just off the screen coming right into the Lesser Antilles. This looks like a formidable storm. Friday, August 14th here. Look at this. And we're still dealing with this off the southeast coast. More moisture we're going to have to watch. But we could be looking at the potential for a tropical storm or even a hurricane moving through the eastern and central Caribbean here. Here's Saturday the 16th. You can see bringing some very heavy rains to Jamaica, Dominican Republic, all the way back through Trinidad, Tobago. So let me just back this up for a sec. So initially, you don't see too much rain across the Caribbean over the next week through this weekend, except if you're in Trinidad, Tobago, right around Dominican Republic here. We'll go over those rainfall amounts momentarily. Jamaica, you'll be getting scattered showers from time to time here, but watch this. Here it is, August 13th. That system approaching the Lesser Antilles with torrential rain from Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up through the island change to the Virgin Islands here. So, yeah, that's what you're going to be looking at, a potential for a tropical system here. We still have plenty of time to watch this. So, margin of error is pretty great this far out. So, look at this, barreling right through the Western Caribbean, deepening significantly. Now, don't focus on the point, just the fact that we have it showing up here, making landfall as a hurricane in the Yucatan Peninsula here around August 19th. So that's re-emerging into the Gulf here. So that's signifying things are really going to explode here with activity. Look at this. Rain continuing around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and look at here, northeast of the Lesser Antilles, watching another strong tropical wave. Now, if we back this up just a hair, the U.S. East Coast, we're going to have lots of systems forming off the U.S. East Coast here. A lot of these will be heading out to sea, though. All right, so let's zoom out a bit here. Here's our system on the European model and our East Coast system. This brings it way up to the north here as the European is showing this high retreating much quicker than the GFS is. So it moves up through this weakness and moves well east to Bermuda, where the GFS is taking it right towards the U.S. East Coast. So we'll continue to watch it here. A lot of time to watch this. But look at this. August 14th. This is why I zoomed out for you. There's that strong, extreme tropical wave action. 1, 2, 3, 4 potential storms lining up here as we head through the 16th into the 17th. You can see that one blossoming across the Caribbean with the potential for more development of tropical storm and hurricane action back through the Lesser Antilles, Cape Verde season, all the way back to August 20th here. And sea surface temperature anomaly analysis here. Yeah, the Gulf has just warmed up, total bathwater here, as well as the Northwest Caribbean. Also warming up here across parts of the Western MDR and Eastern Caribbean. And look at this, the Cape Verde Island area is being stirred up here, so we're getting a little bit of upwelling with some cooler water temperatures. And rainfall across the Western Caribbean, Central America this week looks pretty light. Even Jamaica right around 30, 40 millimeters. Dominican Republic, Honduras, and Belize. A little heavier around the Bahamas, upwards of 60 to 80 millimeters. But watch this as we go through the following week. Yeah, we could be seeing some serious rainfall totals with tropical wave, tropical storm, and the European showing a hurricane coming through the Caribbean. Obviously, that would be some significant rains here. Parts of Jamaica could see upwards of 170 millimeters here. Look at parts of the Yucatan, 340 millimeters. So if this does become a hurricane, we have a couple weeks here, about 7 to 14 days to watch this unfold. So keep an eye on it here. And looking into the Western Caribbean and Central America here, look at this. As we continue through the rest of this week into the beginning of the weekend and early next week, Jamaica right around 26 to 35 millimeters on average here. Dominican Republic about the same. Northern Bahamas getting in on the act to some heavier rain. Belize right around 40 to 50 millimeters. But watch as we go through, look at this, the 20th. This is where things really start to moisten up. Look at Jamaica, 121 millimeters with most areas 60 to 100 millimeters. Dominican Republic, some areas as high as 300 millimeters with an extremely strong tropical wave. Puerto Rico, about the same, 3 to 4 inches here. A little bit lesser amounts here in Belize. Most areas getting about 60 to 100 millimeters along the coast. Honduras, yeah, about 50 to 80 on average with further higher amounts inland. And going to the Eastern Caribbean, yeah, we have some tropical wave action around Trinidad and Tobago as we head through mid to late week. But the big story is going to be after the 13th and 14th. Look at this. Massive tropical wave, potential for tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane. Trinidad, Tobago, as we go into mid-August, we could be looking at rainfall totals approaching 130 to 150 inches, even up the island chain here, all the way up into the central and northern Lesser Antilles. There's some areas that could get upwards of 200 millimeters. Puerto Rico, you're looking about a half to 3/4 on average. And then parts of the Dominican Republic, yeah, some of these areas could see upwards of 125 to 150 millimeters of rain. Most areas, though, getting between 50 and 90 millimeters. And the Eastern Caribbean here, look at this. We got those tropical waves. Later this weekend, Trinidad, Tobago, look at this, right around 50 to 100 millimeters on average. A little bit lesser amounts to the north here, and as we continue through time, it's just going to moisten up as we head through mid to late August here. Look at this. Yeah, the Lesser Antilles, some of these areas getting upwards of 130 to 150 millimeters. The Western Pacific, it's almost like crickets. Look at, you just have the monsoon rains around the Philippines. China's pretty dry through the next couple days. Japan, there's going to be a major change, and it comes with this system moving off the east coast of China through South Korea. Look at this. Seoul, South Korea, southward, you're going to be socked in with some torrential rain. This is a synoptic system. This is not a tropical system. So we're going to be watching this move across Japan. This is going to set the stage for a much more active, heavy rain weather pattern. The 10th, 11th, the 12th, the 13th, waves of low pressure. Now, we do start to see the potential for a typhoon forming maybe towards the northern Philippines and Taiwan through the 14th. And that moves towards just south of Hong Kong through the 16th here. So we're going to watch for another system try to form right behind it. The good news is here, if we see the last couple frames, 17th and 18th, after about the 16th, things do start to dry out across Japan. They do moisten up here across the northern Philippines and South China, however. All right, so let's take a look at rainfall amounts here. Yeah, a lot of you are noticing the correlation here. Japan starts to get really wet after the 10th. Look at that. Philippines as well. The South Korean and North Korean peninsula here as well getting socked. It looks like we're in for some very wet times. Although by the Philippine standards, this actually isn't too bad. Some areas upwards of 250, 300 millimeters. The northern Philippines have been getting hit pretty hard. Look at Taiwan. That's not too bad for you. Look at Japan, though. Wow, some of these areas upwards of 400 millimeters. That's approaching 8-10 inches of rain. This could be a big deal for the east coast of the United States because there's a lot of correlation here. But so far, it doesn't look like any major typhoon action here. We'll keep an eye on it here. Look at Korea as well, South Korea. Seoul, about 113 millimeters. Tokyo over here, you've got a rain hole here as well, about 83 millimeters. It's areas further south and west where you get the torrential rain. All right, so taking a look at our future radar here, the big story is going to be these showers and thunderstorms in the southeast, as well as our big stormy weather overnight here in the upper Midwest and the northern plains. So we'll watch this. This is going to propagate interior portions of North Carolina, South Carolina overnight into 7 a.m. You can see that's kind of bringing its way into central and eastern North Carolina as we head through 3 p.m. It's a very slow-moving complex of thunderstorms along this stalled boundary. So watch out, because heavy rain could become a thing as we head on into Wednesday evening as this approaches Wilmington, Jacksonville, down to Charleston. A little bit lighter of a rain up here into parts of Virginia Beach and northeastern North Carolina. So we'll watch for that as it slowly moves off the coast. It does start to bog down a little bit, and you do start to see that circulation with what, could be providing plenty of serious tropical moisture over the next 24 to 36 hours. We do have our area off the southeast coast. We're going to be watching for potential development. Elsewhere, we got the Gulf here with plenty of showers and thunderstorms continuing, especially during the day. They pop up in the afternoon. And I didn't want to leave out parts of the northeast here as well as we head on into, here's 9 a.m. on Wednesday. You do see these pop-up showers and thunderstorms once you get away from these clouds and this drizzle to further to the south. Look at up here into parts of upstate New York, the Finger Lakes, Buffalo, Syracuse, Adirondacks, just north of Albany. Some of these areas could see some big gully washers pop up. I don't think anything severe, just the potential for some flash flooding. All right, so picking up where our future radar left off, as we continue to go through Thursday into Friday, you can see this area of rain just sitting off the southeast coast. North Carolina here in particular. We got an MCS up here in Michigan through 2 p.m. on the 8th. So we're heading on into your Friday, TGIF, and we're just sitting here with a very elongated area of low pressure that we'll be watching for potential development here. The GFS spinning it up, as I showed you on the tropics. Late weekend, early next week, all eyes will be on our system that I showed you in the tropics here, obviously, and this area of low pressure moving through the Great Lakes as well. So we'll probably spark off some stronger showers and thunderstorms here through the 12th into the 13th. You can see showers and thunder showers moving through parts of Chicago. MCS potential running high here. But look at this. Yeah. The tropics are going to be the big story as our next system sitting just off the coast as a major hurricane. Way too early to say where this could head. The GFS has been bouncing between New England and Florida. So that gives you a pretty good idea. It's the 18Zs and 6Zs that are bouncing south. The 18Zs they're actually bouncing north along with the 6Z. The 0 and 12Zs are actually going more towards Florida. So that's the way it's been looking. We see this flip-flop back and forth. This is normal. Yeah, all eyes are going to be on this because this could be a major hurricane if it were to follow this path, kind of heading up here into New England as well. So there you have it. You got lines of showers and thunderstorms lining up. Our last frame here, August 18th. With unsettled weather continuing here across the southeast. And picking up where our future radar left off with the European run here. Let's go out here in time through Thursday. You can see our area hanging out off the North Carolina coast. That's going to provide those showers and thunderstorms potentially developing maybe into a tropical system. And then look at this. As we continue through Thursday into Friday, you can see the system just continuing. We get these little broken MCS systems up here into the northern Great Lakes. Look at this one here into the northern plains, though, August 9th, Saturday. That just breaks apart, moves to the southeast. We may see our tropical system move off the coast here with high pressure building in behind it. Our new concern turns to the eastern Gulf here, along with some MCSs up here into parts of the Midwest towards the western Great Lakes as we head through Monday. All in all, you got to admit it's pretty dry up here into the northeast as of late. And speaking too soon here, look at Tuesday, August 12th. We get into next week. Look at the Ohio Valley into the Great Lakes. This is where we could start to see some strong thunderstorm development as this area moves to the south and east. And we finally get into New York and Pennsylvania with lines of showers and thunderstorms. This could be pretty severe as we head next Wednesday, the 13th into the 14th. A squall line moving off the coastline here. As you get through Friday the 15th into the 16th, high pressure builds in. But we're still left with this unsettled weather across eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia. I know you guys have been getting so much rain as of late. High pressure building in behind it, and you can see this area across the Midwest, a low pressure moving up through. This is going to get some MCSs going through Sunday the 17th. We'll watch for that possibility dropping across the Ohio Valley into the Northeast through the 18th and 19th. Also, watching a potential another tropical storm. That one heading out to sea as well, but any one of these are fair game to affect the East Coast. And looking at our total rainfall here, yeah, the Carolinas are going to win the award here, unfortunately, which is new here, southeastern Virginia as well. So as we go all the way through the 20th of August, Midwest, yeah, some of these areas upwards of 8 inches of rain, but look at the southeast, central part of the Gulf Coast, Florida, all the way up through the Carolinas here. You could be looking at 4 to 8 inches in some of these areas. Look at that, right around Virginia Beach, 6 inches. So watch out. Heavier times are ahead with the rain, it looks like, according to our European run here. It won't be like nonstop for 2 weeks, though. It will come in spurts as we get this tropical moisture moving in. So it depends on the day. All right, so let's take a look at liquid equivalent precipitation amounts on the GFS, comparing here to our European run. So southeast is the winner for big time rain there, as the GFS showing a hurricane just off the U.S. East Coast. We'll keep an eye on it here. It keeps flip-flopping back and forth. Look at Florida here, 5 to 8 inches. Some areas close to 9 inches here, all the way up through the Carolinas. Some areas approaching 4 to 8 inches. Midwest here, there's a bullseye of 12 inches with some severe weather. Rest of the area, most of these reddish zones getting about 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. And before we continue with more weather coverage, don't forget, if you like the video, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I always love to respond and read your questions or comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, bell notification button. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Let's continue with more weather coverage here. And take a look at our European upper air pattern here. Look at this. So the southeast, you see these lighter colors, pretty much almost white. That's that cutoff area. Low pressures associated with our tropical moisture and potential tropical systems. The ridge kind of holds tough over in eastern Canada here through about the 9th into the 10th. Now, as we just continue through time, there's a subtropical ridge trying to build in, but then we start to get some cutoff low action here across the lakes in the northeast. That's going to bring some unsettled conditions through the 16th before another big ridge develops. This one looking pretty hot too, but look at this off the East Coast. This means more active times are ahead as you kind of see this trough kicking in. Our NAO index, yeah, we're positive. You would swear things are really quiet, but they're actually not. And look at our MJO index here. We are right in phase 1, which is very active. You would be thinking that, quieter times are ahead here because we're going from 2, 3 into 4 as we head mid to late August. However, the models haven't quite caught up with that. So it's showing a lot of activity along the East Coast and Western Atlantic. And for Canadian weather, look at this. We're going to see an explosion of showers and thunderstorms over the next couple days through the prairies here, all the way back through Alberta and the Eastern Rockies. That's some beneficial rain here as this turns into an upper level low. It does start to spark off some strong thunderstorms around Manitoba and Western Ontario here. The next Pacific system moving into northwest British Columbia. Also a dry spell here across southern Ontario and Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland here, all the way up into the Canadian Maritimes. You can also see the storm track does go pretty far to the north here through the 12th. Now, southern Ontario, you do start to get some rain with the system from the United States. You can see up through Ontario as well, and all the way the high pressure building in through the central prairies through Hudson Bay here. Then we see a more active Pacific branch of the jet stream blast in here. This is going to be good news for the wildfires up here in Alberta. Look at this. More rain likely through the 16th into the 17th. All eyes are going to be on this potential storm out in the Atlantic, because could it affect Southeast Canada as a tropical system? We'll keep an eye on it here. Pacific systems, this is looking more like wintertime out here on the west coast of Canada. And our Canadian rainfall totals here. So as we head this week, it's going to be mainly in the plains here with some severe weather. Beneficial rains back through Alberta here. And then as we head all the way through the 20th, look at this. That's a lot of rain for Canada. West Coast taking the award here, over 200 millimeters. Looks more like a wintertime map, actually. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, depending on where you are, some areas could approach 90 to 150 millimeters. That's some great news. And look at Southeast Canada here, especially interior parts of Ontario and Quebec. Some of these areas could approach 150 millimeters of rainfall. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, these areas, anywhere from about 45 to 80 millimeters. Temperatures are going to be interesting here. Look at this. With the clouds and the rain, August 6th, Wednesday, look at this. Parts of the interior Carolinas and Georgia may not get out of the 70s with those clouds and rain. 80s up into the northeast here, heat wave across the west and the southern plains here. As we continue on into Thursday, August 7th, you can see that cooler temperatures along the East Coast with the clouds and the rain continuing here. So that's going to keep the heat wave just entrenched across the plains here, triple-digit heat. But we do start to see evidence August 8th here, Friday, that the 90s are going to start winning out here, unfortunately, into Saturday. Look at this. We do start to see these 90s creep their way into the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes. Into Sunday, look at this. Many readings from Pittsburgh, Cleveland, all the way up to Burlington, Vermont, even Maine into the lower 90s here. So there you go. It is going to be very uncomfortably hot here, pushing up into the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast through Monday, August 11th. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, bringing it to Grand Zipper, Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. As we cruise on through the rest of the week here, we do have a chance of showers and thunderstorms with the warm front pushing through on Wednesday. We'll make it up to the mid to high 80s into Thursday into Friday, about the same with sunny skies. We'll get rid of a lot of that Canadian wildfire smoke. Into the weekend, it looks sunny, and we will be getting hot. 90s, lower 90s by Sunday. Plenty more weather to come. Here is a look at my affiliate. Check out these awesome, amazing maps. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.